What would you ask a lawyer if you could ask them anything? My brother and I opened up an answering machine to allow friends and family to do just that. The questions we received were remarkable. So remarkable, in fact, that we decided to turn them into a podcast. Now, while this podcast isn't legal advice and it's just for fun, we think you're really going to like what you hear. With that being said, my name's Nathan Beam, and I help run a personal injury law firm in Melbourne, Florida.
My name's Riley Beam, and I'm a personal injury attorney.
And from the law offices of Douglas R. Beam, this is Good Questions for Bad Days.
Hi, I'm currently serving on a jury. I probably shouldn't be calling you, but I snuck my phone into our hotel room. The guy did it, but he had a really good reason. He killed this guy who mutilated his child. So I'm going to vote not guilty. Am I going to get in trouble for that?
Okay, well, that is a wild question, Riley. I guess someone is talking to us from the juror's room.
Oh, boy.
I guess to start, Riley, what is the role of the jury?
The jury is in charge of determining the facts of the case. Are they true? They're not supposed to determine the law. That's the job of the judge. They determine the facts. They're the fact finders. So they get to listen to testimony. They get to look at evidence. They get to make their own determinations. Just because you heard something doesn't mean it's true or believable. So they get to look at the credibility of the witness and the evidence as it's being offered, and then they make the decision about the facts of the case. Who is at fault? How much is that worth? Things like that.
We had this individual who I guess called us from the jury room.
He's in big trouble.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, in the case this happened. What happens when jurors get in trouble? What does that look like? What can someone on a jury get in trouble for, and what are the consequences?
It's like anything in life. It depends how terrible it is or not terrible, and you'll hear things like jurors, you're not supposed to do. Kind of the main things you see jurors do is they go home and start doing their own research. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to only listen to the facts of the case. So a lot of jurors go home and do that. A lot of times no one knows. They just do it themselves. No one else knows. They don't tell anyone. Other times, and this makes it worse, so part one was bad. Part two is worse, is when you come back to the other jurors and you start sharing this information. This is not evidence at trial, but you felt compelled to tell everyone about it. And that's where you get in trouble, when you're talking about things outside of the case. Also, while the trial is going on, you are not supposed to talk to other jurors about the one thing you're there together for. This is really hard to do. But you're not supposed to go, hey, what about that witness? That was really sad, or I didn't believe that guy at all. You have to wait until the judge tells you it is time to deliberate. It is time to talk about it. You can't do that beforehand, and the idea is you don't want to be influencing other jurors. Again, you want them to allow the time to process the information they're getting, kind of make their own decisions, and then when you go back to the jurors' room to deliberate, you can now talk about it. You can share your opinions during that time. So before that, you can't. And then also, jurors have contacted people in the case. They've talked to lawyers while the case is going on. They're actually allowed to talk to you. If a juror wants to call a lawyer afterwards, they're allowed to. If the lawyer was willing to speak with them, reach out. But during the case, contacting parties, kind of going out of that area. Just keep that in mind if you're sitting on a jury panel. You're in your own little bubble. You're there listening. And when it's time to deliberate, that's your chance to talk. Again, you can't do your own research even if you're deliberating, but that is the time where you get to discuss, and that's where you come to your decision.
That's great. Well, in the situation that we're in now, where someone called and they said, they don't believe that the individual should be held responsible for their actions, even though they do believe that they did do what they were charged with or accused of. So in this circumstance where there's vigilante justice, is this a real thing within juries? Is this legally understood as some sort of phenomenon amongst lawyers?
Yeah, it's called jury nullification. So a juror could just decide, and it's happened, I think, more recently on a larger scale with drug laws. So if someone's has marijuana on them and the jurors go, this is a huge waste of time, I don't think this should be a law, I don't think this should be enforced, they can decide not to find that person guilty. So it's a dangerous strategy because a lot of the times you're asked to follow the law and the facts of the case and all that, but jurors have done that in the past. It's pretty rare. It's a risky move from the defense lawyer or whoever's putting on the case to not hold the person responsible. Yeah, we did it, but so what, kind of a thing. But it's out there.
It's interesting. It's really unique to think about the power that a jury has, because I think oftentimes when I'm considering a case, I'm looking at the judge, right? And I'm thinking, wow, this judge has all the power. But it's fascinating to understand that really at the end of the day, it comes down to those individuals who are sitting in the jury box who are going to make that decision. Yeah.
Yes, a jury of our peers, and that's what our country was founded upon. Because the king of England used to just point a finger at you and you were guilty. You didn't get a chance at a fair trial. People who are like you listening to the case. So it's a really powerful thing. Power to the people.
American citizens. Did you know the power you had being in a jury? I don't think I really understood most of it actually until I spoke with Riley about this. So take that job seriously and stop calling us from the juror box, or you might need a lawyer yourself. If you're facing a legal issue, particularly a personal injury one, call us. With over $100 million in settlements and verdicts for families in Central Florida, we've gotten pretty good at what we do. And in the 35 years we've been open, the reviews and the word from the community, I think, is representative of that. So if you're facing any sort of legal issue, you should call us. If we can't help you, there's a really good chance that we know someone who can. And hey, if you're an attorney who's listening to this podcast and is looking for co-counsel in Florida, you should also give us a call. We regularly work on multi-million-dollar cases and would be happy to help. You can reach us at 321-723-6591 or at dougbeam.com. And from all of us, the law office of Douglas R. Beam, we really appreciate you listening, and we're looking forward to answering more good questions for bad days.